Aloha from Honolulu, Hawaii. This is Thomas Ellenberg responding to the wonderful and insightful and very touching video by Andrew Harvey and the Swami. And I'd like to tell you how I, myself, as a teacher in the public school system of over 37 years, stood up for spiritual reality, lit a candle in the pits of the darkness, and taught my students how to remember and retain an awareness of who they actually are. I'm coming to you from Honolulu, Hawaii, where I actually I took early retirement from the school system to complete my book. And I don't want to advertise it, but I am asking help in just allowing the knowledge that I share to be brought into the public discourse and into the cultural conversation. The name of the book is Uncle Tom's Classroom: How One Public School Teacher Awakened His Students to the Cosmic Super Self Within. What I did was I had an awakening as I taught school. I started in the Peace Corps, in the Teacher Corps. I'm a child of the 60s, believed in the power within us that we could actually wake up our nation, wake up the Western world from its enchantment and sleep by the military, industrial, capitalistic, outer directed mindset, by that paradigm. Having gone through the 60s and 70s in San Francisco, gone through all the assassinations, experienced the Moscone milk assassination, and being all that time in the trenches, in this classroom. I taught every grade from kindergarten through 8th grade. I was actually teaching 4th and 5th grade, a trilingual class in Chinatown on the day of the double assassinations in San Francisco. And we were called into the faculty room and told that we were supposed to carry on as if nothing had happened. And in that moment, I had an epiphany, an awakening, and I realized the system, the public education system, was actually contributing to the terror and the fear and the confusion of my children. And at that point, I vowed that I would find out how to help them actualize themselves and realize themselves still in the public school setting. What I did was I began to offer complete and total free speech. I put up a sign in my classroom that said "Free Speech Allowed" that I had gotten at one of the Castro Street fairs. And I, on the first day of school, I would welcome my children, which they were all the way from gifted to inclusion in wheelchairs. So, I mean, I had the gamut, and I would tell my children, well, welcome to jail. And of course, they would all be totally shocked, and they would laugh, and I'd say, I'm like no other teacher, because I am not here to brainwash you. I'm not here to tell you what to think or even what to do with your life. I'm here to allow you to find out for yourselves who you are and why you're here. We're going to open up the conversation. What's interesting is that my classes had such high attendance rates over the years, and became so popular with the parents because the test scores kept skyrocketing based on the super self-confidence that the children were tapping into within themselves, that the San Francisco School District, God bless it, gave me complete freedom, even though I was in the trenches of the public rooms, in the crowded classrooms. They gave me pretty much total freedom to co-create this cosmic curriculum of the super self with my children. What we did was we refashioned the entire day. In fact, each semester, I based a lot of my approach on Joseph Campbell's Following Your Bliss, where I told my children that they would be able to create semester-long projects which would include all the strands: literature, writing, research, internet, mathematics, science, history, environmental awareness, that would include all those strands, in their projects of bliss, but that they would be able to revolve and create their curriculum around their bliss. And we started every day with a quote, a wonderful quote. Like, let me just pick a quote here from my book. Here's one by Winston Churchill. Like, I would start my day with a quote. Man will occasionally stumble over the truth, but he usually manages to pick himself up, walk over and around it, and carry on. And here's one by William Shakespeare. Every bondsman in his own hand bears the power to cancel out his captivity. So I would write this on the board, and then all of my classes, I taught mainly in middle school, so I had a number of classes per day. I would ask them to write that quote down in the journal, ponder it, contemplate it, debate it, and then the next day talk about what information and knowledge was downloaded into their minds. I also told them that as long as they read their textbooks that were mandated at home, that in school they could bring in all kinds of books, Bibles, philosophical treatises, quantum physics, Einstein's writings. They could bring in anything they wanted to, the Fantasy of the Ring, even the Harry Potter books. And each student would then be responsible for reading the book, decoding a lot of the words, finding the meanings behind the words, finding the themes behind the stories in the books, and then sharing those stories with each other at the podium. And so my last year teaching 2 years ago in San Francisco at AP Giannini Middle School, I had 39 kids, but what I had was actually, what there were 40 teachers, 39 students in my homeroom, plus me, 40 teachers. And it was amazing, because once I told my children that they were allowed to discover who they really were and why they were on earth, and not only to talk about it, but to creatively and courteously discuss it with each other, it didn't take long at all for them to rediscover who they really were. And what we called that was cosmic super selfhood. They all owned the fact they were able to tap deeply enough into their inner depths by getting in touch with their bliss, with their talents, with their passions, which is in fact, as you know, their spirit, that they were able to really own the fact that they were far bigger than the capitalistic, consumeristic, violent taught children of the military-industrial complex. We talked about the value of turning off the TV, turning off the video games, and turning on the power of the imagination. It was amazing, these projects of bliss which these children created, and how easily they were able to ace the tests at the end of the year, these awful tests by No Child Left Behind that insist that children compete with each other. In fact, that was one of the great lights that I brought into the public school system, that we are not here now to compete with each other, but we are here to learn how to cooperate with each other. And we use science. Obviously, in science, oxygen and hydrogen have to compete on some electromagnetic level, or there would be no ocean water. They got it. We looked at all the Bibles, all the philosophies, found the golden rule everywhere in the world. They got that too. What goes around comes around. I taught them that they were kings and queens of their own body parts. They were kings and queens of their mouth. They had the ability to control who they were, what they were, how they expressed themselves. And so I even had children with Asperger's syndrome that were diagnosed as incapable of handling a full day in a classroom, totally able to just rise above that label and experience themselves as the divine cosmic super selves that they really were. Fighting was completely eliminated in the room because they had super self-confidence. Bullies helped little kids, Asian kids helped white kids, Jewish kids helped Islamic kids, and we experienced the new world. We experienced the new Jerusalem. We experienced what can happen when you allow education to be what it really is, which is the drawing forth of the spiritual light within children. And these are the children that are now growing up that can save this civilization while there is still time. So I ask for your help in getting the word out about Uncle Tom's Class